Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive into living a more purposeful life.
Yeah, so today we're really excited to dig into unveiling purpose and passion. Um, and this one's really interesting
It is.
because it gets at the core principles of, I think all of us feeling a little bit less lost and a little bit more fired up what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Have you ever felt like you were stuck on a treadmill, like you were working hard, but it wasn't really lighting you up inside?
Yeah,
That's what this book is all about, and it's about way more than just like landing your dream job, right? It really starts with this idea that your job is your purpose,
right.
which I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
that sounds like a recipe for
For disaster.
disaster.
A total disaster.
Yeah, like what happens when you build your entire identity around a job title and then something happens, right? You have a sudden job change, or it's time to retire, or you decide to switch careers. Like that could really throw you for a loop.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I mean, people go through those transitions
Yeah.
and they really don't even know who they are
Right.
anymore because their whole identity was wrapped up in that.
It's like when your favorite coffee shop closes and you're
Exactly.
like, who am I without my latte? Okay, maybe not exactly, but
That's a really good analogy, though.
you get the point, right? So this book reminds us that purpose is so much bigger than that.
Yes.
It's about the impact you want to have, the values that drive you, the things that really make your heart sing.
Right.
And it doesn't really matter what it says on your business card.
Absolutely. And I think what I like about this book is it breaks it down into 5
Okay.
actionable rules
5 rules. Okay.
to kind of ignite your spark. So are you ready to dive into those?
Hit me with rule number 1.
All right. Rule number 1 is all about pursuing your desires.
Okay.
And they give this analogy about bagels in Central Park. And I kind of love this.
Beggars, I'm listening.
Okay. So you're walking through Central Park and somebody is just giving away free bagels.
Okay.
You have every right to go and grab a bagel
Yeah.
and enjoy that bagel. But your pursuit of that bagel can't infringe on anybody else's right to pursue their bagel.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like you grab your bagel, I'll grab mine. We can all enjoy this carb fest together.
Exactly. And I think it's a really good analogy for life in general,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
like you can go after what you want,
Yeah.
but you can't do it at the expense of other people.
Okay, so essentially rule number 1 is be respectful.
Yes.
Pursue your dreams, but like,
With respect for others.
don't be a jerk.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
What's rule number 2?
All right, rule number 2 is all about embracing accountability.
Ooh, accountability.
And they use this really interesting example from history
Okay.
about the discovery of puerperal fever and the importance of hand washing.
This sounds familiar. Weren't doctors really bad at washing their hands back in the day?
Yes.
Or am I making that up?
No, you're not making that up. That's totally true.
Okay.
So for a long time, doctors resisted the idea that something as simple as washing their hands could prevent the spread of this deadly fever among new mothers.
And they didn't want to believe that they were the problem.
Ah, that's a tough pill to swallow, to
Yeah.
think that you could be spreading something like that.
Yeah. And that's what accountability is all about, right? It's like owning your mistakes, owning your shortcomings, and using those opportunities to grow.
Yeah,
Because sometimes we are the obstacle standing in our own way.
do we?
And until we can admit that we really can't move forward.
It's so easy to point fingers or blame other people.
It is.
But I think you're right. Like, real growth starts with that inward look.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm feeling very called out right now in a good way.
That's a good thing.
All right, what about rule number 3? This one's all about teamwork, right?
Yes. Rule number 3 is all about fostering mutual support.
Okay.
And they use an interesting example. The Navy SEALs.
Really?
Yes.
I would think SEAL training would be all about, like, being a lone wolf, right?
You would think so.
Just, like, tough it out on your own.
Yeah, but what they're actually looking for are people who, even when they're at their weakest moment, will reach out and support their team. Because true strength comes from recognizing you don't have to go through these challenges alone.
That's really powerful. And I think it's something that a lot of us struggle with, right?
Yeah.
Like, we feel like we have to do it all ourselves.
Yeah, we try to be so independent.
But we can achieve so much more when we actually, like, embrace that collaboration.
Absolutely. It's that collaborative spirit,
Yeah.
that willingness to both give and receive support.
Yeah.
That's essential for unlocking your full potential.
Ooh, I like it. All right, so speaking of unlocking potential, rule number 4.
Rule number 4 is all about practicing deferred judgment,
Ooh.
which I think is so relevant.
I'm gonna say that's a big one.
It is a big one.
Especially these days where everyone's so quick to jump in with an opinion.
Exactly.
Myself included.
No, absolutely.
Before really even like taking the time to listen and understand.
Totally. And to illustrate this point, they talk about Nelson Mandela,
Okay.
who was a master of deferred judgment.
Really?
Yes.
What did he do?
So he was known for intentionally speaking last year,
Oh, wow.
especially in meetings and negotiations.
Okay, that seems like almost counterintuitive, especially for a leader.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's why it's so powerful. By listening intently to what everyone else had to say before offering his own perspective, he was able to achieve two things.
Okay.
One, he ensured that everyone felt heard and valued,
Right.
which fostered respect and trust. And two, by the time it was his turn to speak, he had a much deeper understanding of the situation.
So he's not just like coming in with his own agenda.
Exactly.
He's actually taking the time to hear everybody out.
Exactly.
That's brilliant. Okay, I'm adding practice deferred judgment to my to-do list right now.
I love it.
What about number 5?
All right, rule number 5 is all about cultivating patience.
Ugh, patience. That's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
It is a virtue though, right?
It is a virtue.
It's just in our like instant gratification culture. I feel like that's something that's so hard to come by these days.
Right, we're so used to getting what we want when we want it.
Yes, exactly. Like
Yeah.
next day delivery streaming services.
Exactly.
That's now.
It's tough to be patient.
It is tough.
And that's why I think it's so important to really focus on cultivating it.
Mm-hmm.
And they use this analogy of mountain climbing.
Okay.
And, you wouldn't expect to reach the summit in a single day. Right?
Not unless I suddenly develop superpowers.
Right, exactly.
But I get what you're saying.
It's about enjoying that journey, the process of learning and growing.
Yeah.
Even if that summit, that ultimate goal seems really far off.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding the fulfillment and the why behind your climb.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's like we need to be patient with ourselves, trust the process, and really find that joy in the journey itself.
Absolutely.
So we've got these 5 amazing rules for igniting your spark. But I know from reading the book that it doesn't stop there. It also talks about the importance of our environment, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Even with the best intentions and a crystal clear sense of purpose, a toxic or unsupportive environment can really stifle your spark.
Absolutely.
And to illustrate this, they share a really interesting case study about a guy named Noah,
Noah.
who has these 2 very different work experiences.
Tell me about these contrasting work experiences. What are we talking about here?
All right, so his first job is at the Four Seasons,
Okay.
and it sounds like the kind of workplace dreams are made of.
All right. I'm intrigued.
His managers genuinely care about their employees.
Okay.
They're always asking about their goals, encouraging them to be themselves.
What's like they get it.
Yeah.
They understand that happy employees, make for happy customers and all of that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in this environment, Noah thrives.
Oh,
He's engaged, he's passionate, he's doing his best work.
awesome.
But then he takes a job at Caesar's Palace, and, well, it's a completely different story.
Oh no, what happened at Caesar's Palace? Did they not have enough free bagels?
I think the bagels were the least of his worries.
Oh.
At Caesar's Palace, the whole vibe is different.
Okay.
The focus is on catching people doing things wrong, not on supporting their growth or celebrating their successes.
Oof. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
that'll take it out of you.
And as you can imagine, that takes a toll on Noah.
Yeah, no kidding. It's amazing how much of a difference I think just a supportive environment can make.
It's huge.
It really is. It's like the difference between having a cheer squad cheering you on versus like a bunch of critics just waiting for you to mess up.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the book really drives home this point, that it's not always about the people themselves.
Right.
It's about the culture that's created around them.
Yeah,
Even good people can get caught up in a toxic environment.
totally.
And even the most talented individuals can really struggle to thrive if they don't have that support.
That makes you think about the kind of environments we create in our own lives too. Yeah. Not even just our workplaces, but our relationships,
Yeah.
our communities,
families.
even just like the environment in our own heads,
Totally.
right? Like, are we cultivating a space where our own sparks and the sparks of those around us can really ignite?
That's such a powerful question.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's something that I think we all have the power to influence.
Absolutely.
But even in the most supportive environments, I think there's another important piece to this puzzle,
Okay.
and that's staying grounded.
Okay. How do we do that?
So the book ends with this really poignant anecdote about a former Undersecretary of Defense and his choice of drinking vessels.
Okay. I need to hear more about this undersecretary and his drinking vessels.
Right.
What are we talking about here?
So this guy was used to the finer things in life, right?
Okay.
All the perks that come with
Yeah.
high-powered position.
Sure.
But after leaving his job, he made this really conscious decision to switch from a fancy ceramic cup to a simple styrofoam cup.
Wait, really? He downgraded to styrofoam.
He downgraded to styrofoam.
I've got to imagine there's a deeper meaning behind this cup change.
There totally is.
Yeah.
It was his way of reminding himself that the perks and the privileges he'd enjoyed weren't about him as a person.
Right.
They were about the position that he held.
Interesting.
And once that position was gone,
Yeah.
so were the perks.
It's like that saying, don't let the accolades go to your head, but don't let the criticism go to your heart.
Right.
It's about staying humble, remembering that, like, your true worth comes from within, not from, like, external validation.
Absolutely.
Or fancy coffee mugs.
Exactly.
Although I do love a good coffee mug.
Oh, me too.
But you get what I'm saying.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's about appreciating what we have without getting too caught up in titles or status or possessions.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sense of contentment and gratitude from within.
Which I think ties back beautifully to this whole idea of purpose, right?
It does.
It's not about chasing external validation. It's about finding that fulfillment from within, from living a life that's aligned with your values and your passions.
And taking action on those things.
Yes.
It's not enough just to think about it. You have to go out and do something.
And sometimes that might involve a styrofoam cup.
Exactly.
As a reminder to stay grounded and true to yourself. Who knew?
Who knew? Yeah. And it's not like, people are going around like, let's make this environment toxic. It's just that those little things add up.
They do. They do. And you might not even realize it.
Right.
Until it's too late. And then you're like drowning in a sea of negativity.
Yeah. And I think this really makes you think about those environments that you're in.
Yeah.
And are you creating those spaces for other people as well?
It really does. It makes you think, like, am I the toxic one?
Right.
Hopefully not. But you never know.
You never know. But even in the most supportive environment, there's another piece to this whole puzzle.
Okay.
And that is staying grounded.
Okay. Staying grounded. How do we do that?
So the book wraps up with this really interesting story about a former Undersecretary of Defense and his choice of drinking vessels.
His choice of drinking vessels. Okay,
Yeah.
This sounds like my kind of story. I'm intrigued.
So this guy, he was used to the finer things in life.
Of course, Undersecretary of Defense, fancy dinners, I'm assuming.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All the perks that come with this very important, high-powered position.
Yeah.
But after leaving his job, he made a very conscious decision to switch from using this really fancy ceramic cup to just a plain styrofoam cup.
You switched to styrofoam.
To switch to styrofoam.
Okay. I'm assuming there's a reason behind this.
There's a big reason.
Hmm.
And it was his way of reminding himself that all of those perks, all those privileges that he enjoyed, they weren't about him as a person.
Right.
They were about the position.
It's like when you go to a conference and
Yeah.
they give you the VIP badge or whatever.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I'm important. I get to go to the front of the line.
Exactly.
And then you go home and you're like,
And nobody knows who you are.
wait a minute, I'm just me again.
You're back to your regular life.
It's right back to reality, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like, don't let those accolades go to your head, but don't let the criticism go to your heart either.
That's a good way to put it. It's about staying humble, right?
Exactly.
Remembering that your true worth comes from within,
Yes.
not from like what other people think of you
I love that.
or from your fancy coffee mug
Or your job title.
or your job title.
Right. It's about finding that contentment
Yeah.
and gratitude from within.
And that really, I think, ties back to this whole idea of purpose, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's not about chasing those external rewards or validation or accolades. It's really about finding that fulfillment
From within.
from within. Yeah.
About being aligned with your values,
Yeah.
your passions.
Living a life that feels meaningful to you.
Exactly. And then taking action on those things.
Exactly.
You just sit around and think about it. You got to actually go and do something.
You got to do it. And sometimes
Sometimes you just need a styrofoam cup.
a little reminder to stay grounded.
That's right.
Be true to yourself.
That's right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into unveiling purpose and passion,
Yeah.
what are your biggest takeaways? What really resonated with you?
I think my favorite part about this book is that emphasis on taking action.
Okay.
It's not enough just to read about these principles.
Right.
You have to live them.
Yeah.
You have to incorporate them into your daily life.
It's like we're getting a toolkit.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And now it's up to us to actually like use the tools.
Use the tools,
Yeah.
build something great
Yes.
with your life.
And that's, I think, what makes this deep dive so powerful. It's not just about like gaining knowledge, right? It's about taking that knowledge and turning it into action, into a more purposeful and fulfilling life.
Love it.
So if purpose isn't tied to like a job title or a corner office or, a specific achievement,
Yeah.
what's your mountain to climb? What is it that really lights you up inside that makes you want to push yourself to grow to make a difference?
And just as importantly, who are the people that are going to be on that journey with you?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's about building that support system.
Absolutely.
Your team, your
Yes,
people, who are you going to call when things get tough?
exactly. And who are you going to celebrate with when you reach the summit?
Yes, that's a good one. Because you've got to celebrate those wins,
You do.
no matter how big or small.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those sparks burning bright.
I love it.
It really is. And that's what I love about this book. It doesn't just leave you with a bunch of like lofty ideas, right? It gives you those practical tools, those strategies to actually like implement these ideas into your life.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about. It's another thing to actually like get out there and do it.
Exactly.
Mm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. If purpose isn't tied to like a job title or, a corner office or some kind of specific achievement, what's your mountain to climb? What is it that lights you up inside, that makes you want to push yourself to grow to make a difference?
What a great question. And, just as importantly, like, who are the people that are going to be on that journey with you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Who's your team? Who are you going to call when things get tough? Who are you going to celebrate with when you reach the summit?
Because we need to celebrate those wins,
Oh, you
right?
do. Absolutely, no matter how big or how small.
Big or small. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so until next time, keep exploring,
Ah, see.
keep learning, and keep those sparks burning bright.